On Entertainment Express tonight, from Spain, the cast of Eldorado give their view of the soap and its future. We meet Spike Lee, director of the epic life story of Malcolm X. Steven Seagal, Hollywood's new action hero, says he's going green. And the man who wants to be exactly like Michael Jackson gets a new nose.
Welcome to the show. And we begin with the subject of soap opera. In a minute, we'll be reporting on a plan for a new Crown Court of the 90s. But first, a look behind the scenes on the programme you've probably just been watching, Eldorado. Since it began last year, the BBC's thrice-weekly soap was launched with a fanfare of publicity that turned into a storm of criticism, followed by a number of very public changes on and off screen. The original producer is now gone, along with 8 members of the original cast, and the audience figures have improved modestly. Siobhan Bullock went to Spain to meet the Eldorado team and to hear their views on the short history and the future of the series.
The cast of Eldorado have joined the 250,000 Britons who've decided to live on the Costa del Sol. Like the other expats, the Eldorado team think of home. But for them, it's not just friends and family. They're worried about who's going to be their new boss, the controller of BBC One, who'll be appointed soon. They want to know what he or she will decide about their series.
Up until about 2 weeks ago, I think, there's been no problem at all with morale. I think as the date gets closer when the decision is to be made, we hope, about the future, it obviously becomes more difficult. And there is a little sense of people being slightly more on edge now.
It's a great pity that nobody is able to stand up and say, look, this is the outcome of our decision about Eldorado. It will go forward or it will not go forward.
Morale is, well, at the moment, it's good because the scripts are getting better, but we're a little bit nervous because the decision is made in a few weeks' time whether we stay or we go.
If you actually watch, say episode 4 and episode 104, the difference is incredible. So it can only go on growing. We're learning day by day.
Right, what should we do now, lads?
Too hot to stay here.
Joy's bar.
Everyone at Eldorado believes improvements have been made since last year's launch, but for many, memories of the early days are still bitter.
Are you ready for Eldorado?
I think the first mistake that was made with Eldorado, that it was put on far too quickly.
When you do a new series or a new serial on TV, you do a pilot. When the RSC does a play, it does 10 previews. The BBC, in their wisdom or stupidity, decided that we would go straight in with this. I personally think that was a big mistake.
Another mistake that was made, I very strongly feel, was hyping the programme. Particularly in England, if you set something up as being the best thing since sliced bread, you are asking to be shot down.
What it feels like being miles away and having heavy criticism is, it leaves a pretty sour taste in your mouth.
After 1 month on air, the programme's present producer, Corinne Hollingworth, was appointed, bringing her own views on what could be improved.
I felt one of the first things we ought to do was to try and reduce the number of the cast. I also felt there were characters who were not working.
Corinne has also banned foreign language dialogue and introduced longer, more emotional scenes.
No, not today, Freddie. Do as I say.
If you're in something like this, you expect to be knocked, but you hope half the time someone will say something nice. With us, it was pretty tough. Hard to sometimes kind of believe in yourself. That's the difficult thing, but I do now. I'm very proud of it now.
Once things have gone wrong, it's very, very difficult to change your product or prove that it's changed enough. It has changed enough. There was a myriad of mistakes made, and I can only pray that everybody who has an interest in this industry studies very closely what went on and learns the lessons.
He is Alan Yentob, who is currently doing the same job for BBC Two. Now, one of his first decisions will be whether to back or to scrap Eldorado. Here's what he said about that this afternoon.
You can say about Eldorado that, oddly enough, if you wanted to do a soap, you'd be mad to set it in Spain. That's one we could almost paradoxically call it innovative as an idea, and it failed, or at least it has, doesn't seem to have, done the business, if you like.
When we were in Spain recently, the cast gave us their messages to whoever was appointed as the new boss. So if you're watching Mr. Yentov, this is what they're telling you.
To the centre there, please.
I really sympathise with you. You have a difficult decision to make where Eldorado is concerned, and that is because we've been dogged by very bad publicity for a long time. But we know how ephemeral that is. We know how easy it is to turn around. And just please look at the programme, see how much it's improved, and then make your decision.
What would all those comics and journalists do without us? They'd have nothing to write about. And seriously, give us a chance.
Eldorado is much better than you think.